Welcome everyone to Visionary Psychics. I'm Sara Wiseman, and today we have with us one of our visionary psychics, Felicia Linsky. Felicia, welcome.
Thank you, Sarah.
So Felicia is kind of wears two hats. She's a makeup artist for many years in the film industry or entertainment industry, and she's also a super gifted intuitive. And one of the things I've come to know or come to think about is a lot of Felicia's practice before her intuitive practice has been working really closely, like right next to somebody or right working with them. And it always seemed to me that that was part of why your gifts were so strong. Like you'd been practicing your intuition by picking up all the sense of everybody that you were working on or working with over these years. Tell us about how that feels to you.
I would say there's a lot of truth to that. I would say, though, when I think back to being a little girl, I was definitely picking up on things. I could see myself where I would find, oh, so and so should be cast and together with this person, or I'd be picking up on things, and then all of a sudden they'd be in the news, and this happens to me a lot. Um, as I said, going back to when I was a child, and just be like, oh, and how do you talk about that?
Right.
So, just and then being a visual artist, it's just like I'm, envisioning in my brain and envisioning on my outward expressions. And how do you culminate all that and have people entrust you?
Yeah, I think the visual part's really interesting. I mean, there's lots of ways of working in this intuitive realm, or like a lot of people are maybe hands healers, or a lot of people are mediums with the departed, and I tend to teach like this super third eye technique. And
Mhm.
if you are a visual person, like I worked in design world for a long time, and so you just get used to seeing actual movies, and you also get used to seeing like this sort of symbolic language in third eye. So it's interesting. um yeah, what are the ways that for you, um I guess if you were trying to read someone or help someone answer a question, how would you approach that? Like, what's your process?
That's very interesting because I've recently, as of this month, excuse me, launched my own podcast.
Mm.
And in bringing in my guests, I may have bullet points that I think I'm going to go down that road and are talking about life experiences. My podcast is called Camp Fifi Uncensored. So it's me combined with being the camp counselor, Fifi being my nickname to some, and uncensored meaning there's nothing that I won't talk about, as I say, from cannolis to egg in the holes, and don't forget the s'mores, because there is nothing and that anybody knows about me that I will not talk about based upon my life experiences, and I assume other people's life experiences. I think my gift is that I am able to put people at ease, and that I'm able to keep it light, but I'm able to then go very deep
Yeah.
and pull back curtains that neither one of us, while we're doing this process, are expecting. But then there we are. And I make people feel really safe because, again, because of all my vast life experiences, allow people to know that they're not alone. But then in the listening audience, also know that they can then hear themselves in these stories being told and find relatedness that resonates. And in the process, like I was working with somebody last night on a show that I do, very, very well known show, uh, where I'm going in and I'm spray tanning these individuals, this talent. And in the process of dealing and working with somebody very close who's become very well known over the last couple of years over a series of reasons, and I'm just being very vague because I want to
Yeah,
just
yeah.
out
Oh
of
yeah.
privacy. But
Absolutely,
in
it's
the
good.
in the process, they're literally coming in to get a spray tan. They go to turn around to to show that they've got this band on them because they're pretty beaten up from what they're doing right now. and I tell them the why we want to take this off. And in the process, I start asking her if it's okay if I go in and start to do some body work while we're standing there talking and having an intuitive conversation about the work she's doing there, the work she does on another project, like that. And this just flows out of me. And this is who I am and how I am. And that's how I guide unconsciously or consciously. That's how I work.
Well, it's like you're the style of person who, wherever you are, you're going to be fully yourself and all your gifts are going to come along with you, which is wonderful. I really love that idea of helping people feel at ease. And like you and like a lot of people listening, we kind of stack up these life experiences over time, and they're not all like the greatest life experiences. In fact, sometimes they're really hard. And just kind of knowing that everybody goes through so much stuff in a life, and just being so judgment free, like lay it on me. I have heard things I couldn't even imagine. That's like people's stories. So being super open to, like, just because I didn't experience that particular one on the big chart of life experience doesn't mean and just being, I have like no judgment, just lay it on. We'll see if they're, where that's leading you. Yeah.
And to me is like the ultimate, let's sit down, break bread, and let's just kibitz.
Yeah.
Through that.
Yeah. So with you, it sounds like it's a big like this flooding in of what I call direct knowing. It just all comes to you. What do you normally like? Do you usually, like, I tend to see where the person's stuck, like that just comes in, and then I tend to see like what lesson they're working through, and that's my what are the ways that what do you normally see, or what are you looking for when you're working with someone intuitively? What kinds of things do you tend to notice or bring forward?
So when I'm working with people intuitively, first off, I don't want to scare them because, in some cases, this may be the very first time I'm meeting them, but I already am picking up on stuff. And I may have picked up on stuff a year before I ever crossed paths with them, hypothetically.
Right.
And so then there we are. And then there's the present circumstances. And I'll just, and the best way for me to ease into it, because I might be doing their makeup, or I might be spray tanning, or I might be standing up for a group of people in the moment. And then I'll drop in, by the way, I'm an intuitive healer. And I do that to just say, there's more to me than this one layer. I'm a layered onion, like, so are you. This just happens to be something. And I will also say, and we're all intuitive.
Yeah.
It just happens to be that, I've done this work to go a little bit further. And then I'll ask, if they're open to hearing certain things that I'm picking up on. And if they are, then I'll just start to talk.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Well, it's interesting too, because you've had a lot of exposure to super creative people, all the people in entertainment, but especially actors. Like, they are, of course, intuitive also, because they are channeling these different, not even characters. I believe actors are channeling past lives or dimensional other lives. They're channeling other people through them. And so right away, you're working with people that are really open to this and have a part of this gift, maybe not the clairvoyance, but they have the channeling part to allow another side of themselves. I believe it's another personality to come through, which is pretty fascinating. Do you find, are there a lot of spirit folks or spirit activity around people in entertainment in general, do you find, like, more than in the average, like, is that a group that attracts that?
That's fascinating because for somebody like me who picks up and feels so much, there's a lot you have to cut through
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get to that place.
yeah.
So,
Well,
so for
yeah,
somebody like me to walk in a room who really feels like I could be, and I say this with humility, I feel like because first off, I have 35 years of experience in this industry. So I think that there's wisdom and wisdom slash experience slash being a visionary slash being a leader. You come up against a lot of egos because they just want to compartmentalize you into this one position. Well, what could you possibly know? So coming back to your question, are there a lot of spirits or, a lot of, these kind of people? I'm sure there are, but there's also so much ego in general. And I think that this is one of the challenges this industry is going through right now is the big boy versus the little
yeah,
seedling mentality of I know better than you, or I've got this, and that launches a lot of danger, launches a lot of challenges, launches a lot of upset.
well,
And go
yeah. I
ahead.
mean, in the whole collective, that's what we're seeing, the end of these top-down systems.
100%.
Yeah, and kind of everybody opening into this idea of we're all,
Truth.
yeah, yeah, we're all one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fascinating. I wrote stuff a year ago that was not kosher to write
yeah,
about the backstory to the experiences of the industry that I'm very passionate about. I mean,
yeah,
I came into this industry to be a director and a DP, but as a woman, that was not okay. I was the only woman in my film school. I was one of 3 women on a film set when I first started as a department head in my 20s, and I came to it with experience, not like a lot of other people who happen to be of that age. I'm now witnessing a lot of people, no disrespect, who are in their 20s and 30s who just think that they know it all and
mm-hmm,
that they can't be told otherwise, and there's a sense of entitlement. And look, at there's room for all of us, but
yeah,
wisdom really does carry an honor, a badge for a reason, because of experience, because of a list of terms of problem, a time of problem solving in all
mm-hmm,
different kinds of circumstances. And then you're now dealing with an industry who's no longer, as of like 20 plus years ago, being run by mon pas. It's being run by big international
yeah.
corporations.
Well,
And
and
so all
yeah,
that spirit stuff gets a mix and a mess.
which is so strange, we think of like these big companies, the giant corporations, as this them, but actually, like, a lot of us, or a lot of people, like, at what point does all the people that are working there, that's us, and
Yeah.
then somehow it turns into a them, and we're needing to get this value that we each have our own sovereign wisdom, that we each are equal to each other, that there's no hierarchy of souls. I was thinking last night, I was with my mom, who's like, she's a big football fan. I just really not into sports, and it came up that I knew, like, I know all of the names of the football teams. Like, if you go San Francisco, I'll go 49ers. If you go Green Bay, so she's like, "How do you know this as a sports hater?" Not hater, that's too strong, but disinterested in sports. And I said, Mom, when I was in high school, somehow we were taught that if you wanted to get a guy, you had to know football. And so I learned it. And that's this whole idea of all these, that's just one silly misbelief, this idea that we had to change ourselves to be okay. And now finally, this evolution coming out where all of that can just be let go of and released.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about value, because value really does come down to it. I've been writing a lot and integrating with a lot of different groups. And value is a big deal. Value and pulling back the curtain and being integral
Yep.
to the truth. And I just wrote a piece on what is truth. Is it perception? Is it illusion? Is it your experience versus mine?
Yeah.
You know, it goes on. Are you on the truth bus or aren't you?
Right.
You know,
Right.
and what does that mean? And we, as all flawed individuals that we are, you know, what is that experience and how does that come up showing? And I know for myself, it's showing up, being the best version I can be and inspire others to do the same, and being the most transparent I can possibly be and not be cloaked in secret, and be willing to be the example. And it's scary for me to come out as well as I can speak. It's also scary for me to make myself vulnerable. So I
Yeah.
imagine if it is for me, it is for most.
Absolutely. It's scary of all the ways we come out, all the ways. And sometimes we talk about coming out as an intuitive for some people. Here they are, this is their full approach to the world, and yet it is a coming out. All the people in their lives that are not in tune with that, having trouble seeing it. And that's why we do, that's why I have wanted to do this work. To At the time of my own opening, there wasn't any support that I could find, or there probably was support, I just couldn't find it. And I wanting to open this up and start this conversation of, we all have this magic, this essence. And so let's start sharing and see what happens when we get away from rational, linear business, money, and focus on this other part of ourself, and see what happens when we connect that way.
Yeah, and it is just about connecting. I
Yeah.
think it is really allowing for, you know, I will say to people when I'm inviting them to be a guest, to just to not worry about
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
on camera, that we're just having a conversation,
Yeah. It's going to
and
work out.
be open to just being flow, you know, just flow. Just flow with it. It's just Felicia and you know, in this
Yeah.
case, Sara. Like, you know, I didn't even know this was happening in this format in this way today. But you know, this to me, like, I love you so much, Sara.
Ah, thank
You
you.
came into my life at such a perfect time, because I was questioning, based upon a series of events, where is my intuition? I know it's there, but by God, I cannot put myself in these circumstances anymore. And then you showed up. And I mean, thank God for the internet. And I wasn't like searching, but it came to me. And I took a leap of faith. And through that leap of faith, then I end up, you know, doing the series of studies with you, and creating this relationship that, though we don't get to see each other or be in touch or hold each other's hands or ever giving each other a hug and a kiss, I
Well,
received more hugs and kisses from you and more encouragement, and to have been around the community that you gravitated to you. I mean, I felt like the civilian amongst the mixture of lots of other people who are practitioners, which
yeah.
gave me great, like, wow moments.
Yeah, it gives you a template. Like, I always think, it's like the witches and the monks and the shamans are all like finding each other in this new way, and here we are as part of community.
Yeah.
Well, Felicia, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this Visionary Psychics series, and I will put all your contact information below so people will know where to find you. So stay dry today, and I wish you the best. All
Thank
right.
you so
Okay.
much, Sara.
Thank you.
Much
Okay.
love.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.